Okay, I got a little story to start off this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I heard a great story today about a World War II pilot.
Okay.
He was a bit of a show off, and he was flying his plane, and he turned it too low to the ground, smashed his plane, had to amputate both his legs. So no one took him seriously as a pilot anymore, and he was grounded for like 10 years, basically, retired from the military or whatever it was at the time, the Air Force.
Air Force, yep.
And so now we break out into World War II, and he gets called back, and we got all these new planes that he hasn't seen, he hasn't been in for 10 years. So he's up there, and they finally give him a job, and he has to go through all the testing, all the training, and everything.
I'm very confused.
Why?
It has no legs?
Yeah. He has
Flying planes.
prosthetics, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he's up there, and he's doing these cuts, and he's doing these turns, and he's doing them way tighter than anyone else can.
Mm-hmm.
And they realize it's because when the pilots turn and you're exposed to the G-forces, the blood pools up in your legs,
Yep.
and you become unconscious.
Yeah.
But for him, it was basically just crazy Viagra, and he could keep going. The blood would pool up in his legs.
Touche.
So anyways, that's my intro to this podcast. What is going on, everybody? Welcome, Kevin.
I was so curious where that was all going.
I was waiting for it to be a joke. Like, I knew the end, and I was waiting for it to be a joke.
I figured that's where you're going to
It was
land.
kind of funny, but it's a true story.
Yeah, that's good.
How you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm really good, man. How's your week been?
Good. I'm tired of wind,
Yeah.
but other than that, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. I shared in our Discord the other day the Lethbridge street art. That's the wind weight.
Yeah.
It's like, I joke about the wind. I complain about the wind lots, but it's like really bad.
This is next level.
Yeah.
People don't understand.
Like down the street, a guy's tree fell.
Mm-hmm.
It fell to the east, but the roots kicked up and ripped his fence apart anyways. The fence being on the west end of the tree.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, power lines down and everything, like,
And people don't understand how strong the trees are here to
Oh,
just
yeah.
deal with the wind.
because they have to do that for 30 years.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, it's nuts.
yeah.
I hate that. But it's not snow, so whatever. We're okay.
The S word, you're gonna bleep that one out.
Yeah, fair. How are you?
I'm good, man. I have been having this weird struggle where like this door right here feels like it's locked,
Which people can't see, but yes.
which people can't see. There's a double door right here, and I feel like it's like locked. Like I feel like the stars have to align and I have to figure out some code to get through that door. And once I'm in here, and I don't leave. So I ripped the whole place apart, man. As you can see, there's nothing left in here. Gave my mom her couch back.
Nice.
And I'm going to get some different chairs because these aren't going to be very comfortable for very long. But like the amount of mental clarity that I have now is unbelievable.
What do you attribute that to?
I think that I have this constant battle of, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here a lot. I'm trying to organize my thoughts. I heard something that fucked me up real bad. It said, in a good way, it said, don't get famous off other people. And it was like I'm not going to sit here and wait for you just to do a podcast. Like you can come over and podcast, but I'm not going to wait for you to have a podcast. Right. So I was building this room around waiting for the person for the podcast.
Right.
And I had all these reminders of things that I wanted to do and I couldn't do for whatever excuse.
Yep.
So now I just turned it on and everything works. I have to switch an HDMI cord, which I could fix, but I just didn't feel like it. And everything kind of works and everything is in its place. Everything's accessible. And if I want to have you over, I just have to plug a mic in.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of getting back to that like bare roots of like, okay, what's the performance at hand?
Yeah.
And it's that. And I started reading this book called The 5 a.m. Club, which I had very mixed thoughts of originally. And I just really wanted to start adding intention to the time that I was awake in the day.
Yeah.
And I just thought like combination of the two's got to help. Like it's got to.
You know, it's so interesting because you and I do that with certain things, like our rigs, like mine for guitar and your or recording, and then yours for PA or guitar. Same boat. Like we put so much time, care, and attention to the thing that we were going to use a lot, right? And we did that instinctually. No one taught us how to do it. And we would nerd out about things like cases and like ways to wrap cables
and like how to hold the cable.
Yeah. And storage and like, which is cases. But,
it's different though, I promise.
but it's like, just we had this intentionality with like the things that we gave a lot of respect to in how we view them, I guess. And like, I've never really been taught why I did that. I've never really been taught how to implement that into other areas of my life or like select things to do that with. And like, because if you go to a job, people tell you have to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Show up this time. Do this. Make sure that you have this in order. Like cross your T's, dot your I's. But like for an individual, it's kind of like some sort of mystical thing that people don't really talk about, and I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
It's like to show respect to something. I guess it's hard when you're self-motivated in that respect too.
Well, there's going to be a lot of self-value that comes into play. And if my self-value is tilted for any reason, whether it be my room's crowded, mental health, whatever, that's going to distract me from where my thought was for sure. Anyway, keep talking.
Yeah. I mean, like, I understand the basic science of it.
Self-value and then deciding that you're allowed to do things on your own and choosing to do things for yourself before other things is where I was going to go with that.
Yeah,
But anyways,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, there's a selective perspective, right? And one of them was just natural, right? It's like cared about something. And I think one of the things that's difficult is like when it comes to things that like are a job or you earn money from, it's like we don't get into the place of like care for that. I don't know. It's just like there's things that we are passionate about, and then there's things that are like we have to choose passion in. And I don't know. I don't know how people. I don't know how you teach that. Like there's lots of theories onto it, and then like if you're expressing that behavior, this is how you'll express it. But to actually feel it, right, is more, I guess, what I'm driving at.
Well, and like what's interesting is like if I take that 5 a.m. club, like I could recite to you all the like takeaways from that, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and do it. Like, and it's easier to have the words and then go, oh, that's the thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I avoided the 5 a.m. club because I thought it was going to be one of these like rah, wake up at 5 a.m. and it'll fix all your problems. But my problem is I'm up at 5 a.m. with panic and I don't know what to do with it. Yeah. And so just someone giving me the freedom to do valuable things with my time at 5 a.m. It gave me like the freedom to launch this. Right. And in that, I like the only barrier now to entry is my own self-value and where I prioritize that on that list. Right.
So that was your own perspective of how you viewed the 5 a.m. wake up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the 5 a.m. wake up versus the book. But what's interesting in that, though, is like me going through that experience and then getting the language for it, I could apply it. Whereas if I would have read the book, it probably wouldn't have landed.
Yeah, you wouldn't have felt it.
Yeah, exactly, right?
That's something that I just kind of struggle with is like if it's something that you're trying to fix in your life or something that you something that you want to make an adjustment to, like a behavior that you are engaged in and you want to be over here, whatever that is, right? How do you know you want to be over here if you've never felt it, right? And then how do you know where you're walking if you've never felt it? And I do mean feel, because like the art of getting up day after day after day, willpower will let you do that, right? It's like, okay, I can wake up and go, I'm doing this thing, even though everything in me is saying that I shouldn't be doing this thing right now because of X, Y, and Z, however my perspective is. But I've read this book and I'm going to enact against my internal drive and I'm going to go in this direction. Now that means every time you wake up at 5 a.m., you don't have the feeling of, I'm going to get after this. This is me. I love this feeling. You have this, I'm resenting the old me enough that I'm going to move in the opposite direction of this stream, right? Which I personally don't think is sustainable because you're like...
You're constantly fighting just for movement.
Yeah. And like, I think upstream is one of the dumbest ideas we could ever go with, right? Like it never ends. Like unless you change it so that you change the whole direction of the stream, I don't think you ever get to stay that way.
Well, and so I think that's a really good metaphor for like what's going on here. Like I felt like I was swimming with the stream, but I was spending the same amount of time dodging objects as I would have been, or the same amount of energy dodging objects as I was, or even hitting objects. Wow. As I would have been swimming upstream. So it felt like the battle was so stagnant. It was like a rock in a hard place, basically. So removing those rocks and letting the stream flow seems to be the best. spot to be. Who'd have thought?
Well, I mean, you know, nobody talks that way though.
No.
Right? Like that's not super glorious
No.
to be like, hey, just remove obstacles and allow something to flow naturally.
What's crazy is when those obstacles are people.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because as an extrovert and someone who is very codependent, that's a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, and like, I don't even know if it's necessarily removing people, but it's removing what those people mean in the grand equation of how you're viewing the world.
Okay.
Right? Because it's like there's going to be people that throw rocks at that stream that you can't remove. Right? Like we don't get the option to remove every person in society that will maybe throw us a stone or, you know, cause us to have to meander,
veer or whatever.
But we can choose whether or not we accept that stone into our river, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like not just then you don't have to give up people. It's like you don't have to give up what you expect those people to be, or like you want them to be something that they're not, and then all of a sudden they're not that. So now it's a rock, and it's like, well, shit. I can't move this rock. It's messing with my stream. But realistically, it's just you wanted them to not be a rock, and they were. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, now I got to move all these rocks in order to get my stream back on. But people are going to be themselves. You know what I mean?
I want to put a pin in that too, because that rock can sometimes seem like a life-saving raft almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can climb on top. I can be safe for you. I can help you.
Yeah.
But that's almost enabling you to just weather the stream rather than ride it.
Well, and sometimes,
God, this metaphor. This is going deep.
I just think sometimes we also ask people to be rocks, or like we hold on to them.
Yeah.
Like the stream is moving and it's scary as shit, and we are looking for things to slow us down.
So I'm curious about this. Have you seen that show, How to Become a Tyrant? No. Okay. So that's
you've told me about this.
Yeah. It's a playbook on how to rule the world it's a play on history, and it's funny, but they talk about how you need people who are loyal to you. And they said the nice thing about loyalty is they don't need to be smart.
Oh yeah.
They just need to follow, right?
Yeah, it'd be the exact opposite. You'd probably want.
I want someone who's committed.
Yeah.
Or I want committed situations. I'm not trying to say someone, because I'm not looking for like a thing, but I think that like what I'm looking for in the people that I'm surrounding myself in those rocks is I'm looking for someone committed to moving down the stream. I don't want someone loyal to me being in the stream. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because that feels valuable and that feels safe, but it's not always progressive.
Well, I think the difficulty is like if you want people to be in your stream that have their own stream, they won't.
Yeah.
Right? Like it just ain't going to be the case. Whereas like you're kind of looking for people that are needing help finding their own stream. You know what I mean? Because if you look at it like, I don't know, you see this a lot as people build up. It's like they become attached to someone that kind of mentors them and guides them, and then they kind of go off on their own path. But if you're trying to link up with people that are on their own path, good luck getting them to hang around for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you kind of need someone that's searching and is a little bit behind where you are, that will engage with that, and then can divide whenever it's going to divide. But it's like...
Because that's the big thing. Like, I want it to be... Whatever it is that we're talking about, this hypothetical situation we're talking about, or this overseeing situation, I want it to be more of a like, I've got this thing going on. Okay, let's use you and me as an example tonight. I had energy all week. I wanted to start talking. I wanted to use this space. So I hit you up and asked you to come over here and be a part of this. And my God, I'm losing all my thoughts today. It must be this Slurpee, bro.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be.
Well, I mean, I think I understand what you're trying to say. It's like, you know, you have all this intentionality behind the thing that you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And part of the aspect of you is that you like bringing people into community. That is like what you like doing.
I got the metaphor. So I'm trying to build a raft so I can get down this stream a little smoother, right? And I got a few things I can't do on my own, and I'm looking for someone who's in the same boat as me.
Okay.
So that we can both get down our own streams smoother and faster.
Yeah.
And we can have a little bit of handoff, a little bit of trading. We can get down the stream the best, right? That's what I was trying to go for.
So I would argue there's lots of people in rafts.
Yeah.
Now, you have a unique raft, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like, your raft doesn't look at the world the way most people look at the world.
Probably not.
And I think that if you're looking for people to have the same brand of raft as you, good luck, bro.
Let me just run this scenario by you, okay? So I got this beautiful YouTube community, right? It's incredible. Say you got a band and you're trying to launch.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to you and I say, hey man, let's push your music. Let's do this thing, right? So now I get to do breakdowns of your content. And then you go, hey man, this is doing really well for me. I need to learn how to mix my project better. And I go, great. Why don't I do some videos on some mixing tips? And then you and you and you can get a little bit of value out of that. So now your project does better. Mm-hmm. Now you're hopefully doing better yourself because the project's getting received, et cetera, et cetera. There's less barriers to entry. And if I can continue that relationship with you and continue building that, I'm making money, you're making money. We have this little like floating thing happening, right? Mm-hmm. That to me makes sense.
Oh, dude.
100% of the time.
You are a rarity.
That is so strange to me. Like it.
I know.
That literally makes so much sense to me that other ways don't make sense to me.
I know.
That is so strange that is where this conversation came to. But okay, go on. Tell me about it.
That's not how most people think.
Why?
Because that's an abundance mindset. That's the idea that water keeps moving up.
But it's interesting because I have zero abundance other than like love.
That's real abundance right there. Because like
fair enough.
Money doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Like really. Because the richest people on the earth aren't that happy.
Yeah.
So if that's our level of equation, well then leave it. Because what you have is you have a little bit more of like the altruistic love and people being cared for and happy and community and feeling like they have a place. That's not money. Mm. Money is almost always derived from people not feeling that way and needing to engage with whatever you're giving them to get money from them for the hopes of them filling the void of the thing that they can't find there.
Of that love that they're looking for.
Exactly.
I got you.
What you're saying is, hey, love is here. It's in abundance, blah, 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 blah. Let's do this thing for this purpose. Money is to facilitate all of that.
Yeah.
In the way that you think, and this is one of the reasons that you're a beautiful human, is because in the way that you think, you don't think that money is the answer to this. You think that money could facilitate growing this further. Mm-hmm. And that's not how most people think.
That is so strange. So let me run this one by you. Tell me this doesn't make perfect sense, okay? Okay. So the whole battle in reactor communities is copyright claims and ad sourcing and all this stuff, right?
Sure.
So I feel like instead of chasing view counts, money, any of these things, what I'm trying to pursue is longer average watch time on my videos.
Okay.
So what that means to me is that Kevin's enjoying the video enough that he's watching it for an extra minute on average.
Sure.
Times that by however many people watch my videos.
Okay.
That in turn pays me more money.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you say things like, or not you, but like when people say things like, 1 million streams pays you $12.50.
That's not how that works.
And it's pretty loose, right? Because like if you only watch 2-3 minutes of it, it's not going to pay you anything.
Yeah.
And it's not going to circulate. So the more you watch the video, it tells me that you're enjoying the video more.
Okay.
And that in return pays me.
Yeah.
So the pursuit isn't the money. The pursuit is the valuable video.
Sure.
That people are watching a longer length of. And I get the affirmation of that by being paid in return.
Okay.
And that just makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, it's like a way of keeping track.
Yeah.
Because really,
it's a metric
I think
to follow.
Yeah, I mean, people don't really understand that like you don't get to tally everybody and how they feel. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like you have to use the metrics that are given to you, and unfortunately, those are the ones. And that's the common thread of how people talk, though, is from a scarcity mindset, right? Where the idea that you're going at it the backwards way, right? So like they're thinking from a scarcity mindset of how can I get more of this? You're saying, I want more of this. This is how I measure it, right? Mm-hmm. Like what you're wanting is you're wanting more emotional investment. Mm-hmm. That's really what you're wanting.
That's what it is, yeah.
And the problem is that people don't think like that.
That's so interesting.
I know. It boggles my mind too, because like I don't particularly love that is the reality, but I am slowly getting to the understanding that is just reality. And it's from like not by anybody's fault. It's just that that's the story that we're presented. Mm-hmm. The story that we're presented is everything that you feel wrong about in your life is about $10,000 away. Mm-hmm. I've always used this idea because
that's so funny.
I hear people say it so much of this idea of like this mythical 10 grand or some number.
If it just showed up.
If it just showed up, all of a sudden everything's fine,
Yeah.
right?
You know what this room would look like before I paid off my savings account and all that stuff? You know what this room would look like if I woke up with 10 grand?
You know you're doing well. If
That's
you're
what I'm
saying,
talking about.
You know you're doing well if you're saying that you have to pay off your savings account.
It's the first thing you want on my mind.
My savings account's in the negative.
Yeah. I borrowed from my own savings account. Now
I'm picking up what you're
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But like the difficulty is that if everybody's living the same story, thinking that happiness is just a check away, right? It makes sense. You can forgive their interaction with all of the ideas around money if that's the story they believe, right? If the belief is that internal peace, happiness, joy, love, all of those things that we still romanticize, if the idea is that that is somehow connected to some sort of sense of monetary, then obviously the monetary is the focus, right? If you focus on this, then you'll get this. That's the idea. Your idea is that I want to focus on this. I'll use this to measure it. How well I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right.
That just makes so much sense to me.
Yes, I know.
Like, I don't want to be a slave to the money. I don't want to chase that.
No. And like, that's better.
Well, I hope so.
I think that's karmically better. You know what I mean?
Man, because karma's been on my side for a long time now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I have nothing to complain about when it comes to the karma.
Well, okay, so
like, universe, you got me.
we've talked about this. Like, you know, when you were in sales land, that was money. How did that feel? It's kind of gross, right?
No, but here's the thing, though. For me, it was about how happy can I make, like, I'm picking up furniture.
Right. I keep forgetting that
you got to think.
I keep forgetting that you're great at being a good person.
But the thing is like, I understand the Kool-Aid side of it because I see it. But like, it's all about perspective. So
of course.
If I'm selling you something for your brand new house, and you just had your first kid and you got all this stuff, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah. See, this is where, like, again, people just don't understand you. I understand you. I've known you so long, where it's just like, you're so thrilled to be a part of their life and you want to make their life better in that situation.
Just in that moment.
That's what makes you so good at selling things.
Oh, that's so interesting.
That's like, and that's where I find it fascinating with you, because it's like, most people can't imagine that that's your heart posture.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah. I get
can't
called,
even imagine that.
I get called selfish and self-conceited and like all the things, like, what are all the other ones that, like, slimy salesman, unethical. I've been told that I'm, what's that called, where you like influence someone's behavior to get what you want? Manipulative. I've been told all these things. Like, you kidding me? Like, I just want you to be happy with what you got. I don't want you to regret hanging out with me. I don't want you to regret spending any money. And if you do, give me a call and I'll sell you something else to make you feel good. Like, that just makes sense. Like, come on.
Well, it makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense. It makes sense in your head, but not to most people.
That's so strange.
Most people tend to look at situations as though it's some sort of competition, right? Like
there's a finite amount of money out there and someone has to get it.
Sort of. Okay, so this is something I've been circling around in my head. Competition. I think we've totally messed that up.
Agreed.
Because the idea of competing, I don't think people understand what that means. Competition is about competence, being good at something, right? Being able to compete against other people is a tool of refinement for your own competence. And that is the thing that gets missed. Okay. I'm not going to compete against you so that I am better than you. I'm going to compete against you so that I'm better than me yesterday.
Of course.
That is competition.
Yeah.
Now, we use it as metrics to make it so that we're some sort of deity that lives forever because we bested this guy. But if you look at any of the people that go and win gold medals, what happens when they've won gold medals and they retire?
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, they got to be back in life.
Yeah.
They're competitive people. They got good to a place of something. If they're smart and they understand what the idea of competence was in that, why they had the drive to be the best at something, that doesn't mean that they can't then just go look at it as another thing. And that can be the best father. That could be the best brother. That could be the best friend. That could be the best worker. That could be whatever it is. But it just, if I want to be better tomorrow than I was today, I need to compete. And I use different tools in that sphere to do so, right? But the misunderstanding is that, like, that it has anything to do with putting one person above another person. You know what I mean? Yes, that's a measuring tool, but it's your own internal ability within a field.
Well, it should just be a leaderboard. It should be like, here's the
But
standard.
See, think about that, right? That the idea of a leaderboard. What does a leaderboard say?
Well, like, so
I am the best at this thing, right?
so the leaderboard gives me a target to shoot at, so I know what I have to do to try to get there.
Well, but hang on. Most people think, okay, I've got this target. I've got to do whatever I need to do to get better at whatever. The real thing is, what is that guy doing?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I utilize the information of being around that guy to make it so that I'm better tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the nature of that, of being able to showcase ability out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have, kind of measuring sticks and examples of someone pursuing a field that is more competent in that field ahead of you, and you can't glean information, that's how we never get better at anything then.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can understand that it's like, oh, these are measurement tools and the ability to view another person's performance in a field that is ahead of mine, I can utilize that information and better myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about taking down the next guy.
No, never.
Most people think that that's what competition's about.
That's so strange.
Yeah, I know.
It's so strange.
But that is not strange to most people.
Like, because I would be the guy to see you on top, and I would walk up to you and be like, hey, bro, tell me all your secrets, because I know you want to talk about them.
Yep.
I'd be like, you're probably so excited about this and so dove into this. All you want to do is chat, and all I want to do is absorb.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then it's like, okay, man, I'm at a place where you and I can hang. How do we sharpen now? Like, how do we, you know what I mean? Like,
But what you're talking about is that's pure competition, in my opinion.
yeah.
Because it has nothing to do with being better than another person. It's all a state of internal, like, which realistically, that's the only thing you have control over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and not to mention, it has to be within your own capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to be as good at things as you are at things, and you're not going to be as good at things as I am at things.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I can't see you doing something and better myself in my own position. That doesn't mean I have to overtake you,
Mm-hmm.
but I can work to make myself better tomorrow than I am today.
See, and that's like, I preach why versus what all the time, because I like seeing the outliers. I like seeing the people who are freaks, monsters, and going like, if you can do that in your field, what can I do in mine? You know what I mean? And it's like, you can really find inspiration or passion or competition in just about anything. It's just about how you look at it.
Well, and like, if you have negativity around the word competition, well, all of a sudden you're not going to be doing any of that, right? You're going to be doing things that are anti-competition, anti-competence, right?
Ah, man, that sounds like a nasty word.
It is.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, it's like, okay, what is an anti-competence type of thing? It's devaluing the work that was put in by another and diffusing the responsibility of yourself to have to do it yourself,
Yeah.
right? So if it's the idea of like, oh, he was just naturally gifted, he blah blah blah. He had all the hookups and everything was done for him, and all these devaluing things make it so that we don't have to have personal responsibility and work on putting ourselves forward one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, if we understand that we're not attaining our own possibility in an area, we have the idea that we can either face that or we can run away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to run away from it
Yeah.
because it seems easier.
Safer, maybe?
I mean, it's way harder,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, you swimming back upstream.
Yeah. You ain't wrong.
Full circle here.
You ain't wrong. It's just like, I don't know. But I do think that, like, all things can be done through two different perspectives, right? Like the idea of like out of love or out of fear, right? Scarcity or abundance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care how you word it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like the perspective behind something matters.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't just matter in terms of like the execution of something. It just matters for the result.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just does.
Interesting.
But again, it also depends as to what result you're wanting to measure.
Yep.
Because if you're just wanting to make money, okay.
You can measure a bank account.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you actually don't think that that's what matters in life, well, you're not going to play the same game. And therefore you're not going to have the same result.
Do you think it's harder because like there isn't a metric to measure like love, like empathy, care, like those like impact, like take my personality, impact that I care about? You can't measure those things.
Well, it depends, right?
Because I'm not really an A-type person either. Like I don't need metrics and stuff to like motivate me. But
well, you were the one that said that's why a leaderboard is good.
well, no, I was thinking more like, so at least you know what the standings are. Like I want to know what you're doing so I can gauge my success against it. So
It's
like,
still a metric though, right?
yeah. So
I
like,
think you're more familiar with it because of your history. right?
Yeah.
Like you training people.
Yeah.
You utilize stats and metrics and stuff very, very effectively and efficiently, right? So
Yeah.
I think they make sense to you. I think what you're saying is that your own internal sense of that satisfaction in an area is not necessarily something that's measurable on a board.
So here's an interesting thought for you to go into that. So like I've always prided myself in being that outlier, especially in sales. Like, and I don't want to sound like I'm like a tool or something, but like I was always like outselling. I was always out competing. Like we've got little competition things that I've won. Like, and I was always chasing that. But when I was with my therapist, it was never about trying to, actually it was about trying to prove that my way worked.
Sure.
And he would just ask me, are you trying to prove it to you or are you trying to prove it to me?
Yeah.
And that is a really great question because I felt like I could see the direct value in trying to make sure that you feel good, you get what you want, and I'm going to make a buck from that. I see direct value in that. But the immediate gratification or whatever, ratification that would be measured by the metrics don't say those same things because it's a long-term play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting for someone to like, for you to feel a certain way. And like, I just think that way. Like, I don't think other ways. It's just like, how can we all benefit in this situation? Right. And then to be basically told, no, that's not correct. No, that's not how we do things. No, that's not how we measure things. You can't measure things that way. And then the battle being what we are and we're winning and we're, like it was this weird dichotomy where like back to the self-value conversation, right?
Well, this is kind of like the idea of like, what game are you playing?
Yeah.
Because like
chess or checkers
or just like, that's their game.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to win at the game that's presented to you, play that game.
That's fair.
If you're not, and that game doesn't matter to you, then don't play it.
That's fair.
But
there you go.
I mean, it's insanity to play another person's game. It's insanity to play Monopoly with Scrabble rules.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because it's just there's no reason to do so. It's not going to be. You're not going to change the game, and the game is too big. Mm-hmm. So, if you really want to play your own game, play your own game.
Mm-hmm.
And so say like you took that same situation, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm giving you all the evidence as to why your game is actually my game because I'm winning your game by playing my game.
Mm-hmm.
You should start playing your game my way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, a big corporation doesn't give a shit, right? One outlier does not defer the rule, right? But we learn the most from outliers, in my opinion.
Well, we should, in my opinion.
Well, because like breaking a trend is hard.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like
especially when like the proven evidence is there to say that this works.
Well, it works for all of these situations other than.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
And that like the anomaly effect is really important. It's not necessarily how you base rules, but that's I think where you learn lessons outside of the given information. Like I like thinking outside of the box. That's just something I like doing. I like looking at a situation and seeing what can I see in this that no one else does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the outlier argument is those unique people that manage to engage with something within a situation that normally shouldn't. It just shouldn't work that way normally. And I think that you can glean a lot from those people and help inform this thing that does seem to be the moving average or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you change the whole moving average to be that, because usually an outlier has a number of things that aren't possessed within this, right? Like you being that high performer of that store, breaking all the metrics that should be X, Y, and Z. That doesn't necessarily transfer if it doesn't have a you, right? Mm-hmm. It's the difficulty with an outlier is the outlier has to exist in order for that metric to even be there. Mm-hmm. So you don't get to then just say, oh, okay, I'm going to make it so that every situation assumes that outlier is there and present. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be information that can be gleaned from the way that the outlier approaches it because it is outside the box. It is away from what the norm is. And there's going to be a way that you can take that and move that needle forward if you're open to looking at it.
Well, it's just you're exposing yourself to more situations where your data may have come up short or whatever, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's the nature of humility, right?
Yeah.
The idea that we don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Even though we
pretend to.
No matter how big we get, right? Like, but I think the idea is if you're using the metric, right? and the metric gets so outlandish, then how can you not believe that you got it all figured out?
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like if my bank account says a B in it,
Yeah.
then like how can you tell me that I don't have it figured out?
Well, that's the Kanye argument, right?
I know, but
Which
it's
is
not even. It's the corporate argument.
No, that's literally what Kanye said. He said, I won't listen to anybody that has a lower net worth than me.
Oh yeah, that's dumb.
But if you think about it, that's a logical argument, right?
I guess
It's like if we're playing the metric of if you're winning at life, your number's higher than mine.
Yeah.
That means there's no other information that can be gleaned outside of the person that is ahead of me in this metric, even though we can be talking about things that have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Like him being a good present father that allows his kids to grow up feeling as though they are a whole entity of a person has nothing to do with how much money. If anything, the money will make that harder.
Yeah, of course.
But if you take that logic of let's just measure everything about life with a dollar value, no.
Yeah.
Just keep getting more money. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's how we measure everything.
Yeah.
But
I follow.
But like you want to measure in my opinion, the karmically healthy way. Right?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, like for you, the way that you genuinely, and if people want to doubt this, it's just, I understand because people will project whatever they want to project on things. But I know you very well. I know your heart's intention in all of these things is that you want to build something that is of value in the way that you see the world, which is through that love and community and compassion. And you bring in people. That's what you love to do. And if you had all the money in the world, you would do more of that. You wouldn't be balling. You might ball a little.
Oh, dude, I spend money like an asshole when I have money, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like
you lived with me, bro. I spend money like an asshole when I have money. But it's for like all of us. It's like, hey guys, I bought us all steaks today.
And this is what I mean, though.
Let's
right?
all have a good
It's
weekend.
not-
I bought us sausages.
It's
like,
not like as self-invested as most people would think.
I don't spend
if
money like
people
an
get money.
asshole.
Exactly.
I spend money like a kind, caring gentleman who does not care about money.
Well, it's but that's the thing, right? Like for you, it's not a thing of value in that respect. It's a thing that gets you the things that you can show people that they're valuable to you, right? I've said that about myself too. Is like if I was a rich guy, I'd be a really good rich guy because I could just care for those around me in a way that I can't right now, right? Like I could just provide for more.
You know what's interesting though is you have a lot of love and heart to pour, and you and I watched a video about Ren talking about that and about just being able to support those around you in a way that you can support, and that being of value. And I think that the language you're using right now might be a sign that you could value your love a little more.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think part of me trying to get healthier just overall is a part of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I want to be a better me so that I can show up for other people in whatever way is needed.
Yeah.
It's not always money. I know that, but it's just a component of being able to help and care that I would love to be able to possess in a way that can suit the situation as needed. Right. But for me, I look at it like everything, right?
Yeah.
Like cooking, that's another avenue for me. I don't need a lot of money to cook a decent meal for somebody.
Yeah.
But I like being able to do that for people because that's again just an outlet of care. And that's more the thing that I'm looking at my life as is like I would like to better myself and be the healthiest version of Kevin that I can be so that I can be there for those who need me.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And in a way that you feel valuable. Because even if you had the money, you might not care about giving people money, or it might not fill your cup up more.
I think more for me is like the more that I care for myself or invest in myself, the more value I understand myself to be as I am.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that me doing things for people is how I am valuable, if that makes sense, right? Because like, how do I explain this?
Could I challenge you on that thought?
Yep.
In a positive way?
Sure.
Do you think that, and don't let me speak for you, don't let me paint a narrative about you. I'm just asking questions. Do you think that you placed yourself last for long enough that the universe was like, hey, this doesn't work? And so now you're placing yourself first so that you can actually deliver to those behind you in line?
Probably. I'm definitely not first yet, but I'm trying.
Okay.
And that's all just perspective. But like, at least I'm on the board now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Back to the leaderboard, right?
Yeah. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I I'm just starting to understand what I bring to a situation where I don't have to offer. Um, like I used to think that being valuable meant doing things for people,
Mm.
right?
Oh, that's a typical man thing, right? Like,
Not just that, but a people pleaser thing too, right?
Yeah.
Like I got to fix their problems so that they're okay. That means I'm good,
mm,
right? And I don't necessarily think of it that way anymore. Like I want to encourage people to fix the problems that they can
mm-hmm,
and support them in it
mm-hmm,
because nobody fixed my problem for me, but I had a lot of support.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? Like I had to figure it out. I had to have that conversation with myself. I had to go down, and I still am having to do that. But I have love and support and people that care about me.
mm-hmm,
And I'm realizing that that is the valuable thing.
mm-hmm,
What I really wanted when I was down, I wanted just someone to do it for me.
mm-hmm.
Like, because I
Just fix this, right?
yeah, you know, like I think that that's kind of like a child's mind
Mm-hmm.
of like just parent, God, whatever you want to call it, fix this thing for me because I don't want to, I not don't want to, but like don't want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, like when it boils down to brass tacks, it has to be a want thing because like I have the capacity, I have the needs, I have the desire, I even have a little bit of urgency. But like, you know, when it boils down to it, it's like there's something crowding my decision to do whatever it is that, you know what I mean? So like it is a decision in one way, one form or another.
Well, and like I think back then, I think I had confusion of the idea of wanting something as a negative, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like as though that was somehow inherently bad.
Because you're taking.
Could be. You know what I mean?
Well,
I just
go back to my analogy. If you're on the bottom of the food chain,
Yeah.
and you go and you take a big nice cut of meat from the whole tribe, well, what is this like? If you value yourself at the bottom, what does that have to say? Like, where's the ethics in that, or like, where's your heart in that, right? And it wouldn't
Yeah.
feel right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like I think I just didn't understand that like it if you want to be able to be there, whatever you want to call it, or if you want to calm that storm of feeling like you need to people please or over provide value or earn your place in existence. I think like the only thing that really seems to calm that storm is understanding who and what you are without any of that.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
when it's all stripped away, like what's
Yeah.
actually there, right?
yeah. The analogy that I went with was just kind of like if you were stranded on an island, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
That's like the thing that I keep coming back to. Cause like,
Loud. I would be loud.
yeah, fair. But I mean, I think so many people think about themselves in relationship to the external world around them,
Mhm.
right? Not realizing that if you removed all of that, you still exist.
Mm-hmm.
And then what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that type of notion kind of got me to thinking of like, okay, well, if I am only good because of what I provide for others and I don't provide for myself, if I don't have those others here, like if I just keep on living and everybody else goes away and I have no one to earn value with, well, what am I left with?
Mm-hmm.
I have to value me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and like it took me feeling like the world abandoned me and I was insignificant. And then it also took the contrary of that, where I felt like I'm the only person in my world. So I'm very, very influential in my world. So
Yeah.
it's like this, I feel so tiny, but I feel so big at the same time.
well, it's all and nothing.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And until I faced that and understood that my perspective drove that,
Mhm.
it drove me crazy. I was cursing my mom for bringing me in this world. I was cursing like spirits and like everything, bro. Like
Yep.
until it finally clicked. It was like this is the meat bag you've been given.
Really?
Do with it what you will.
Enjoy your meat bag
Yeah.
and do what you can with it. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Well, just like my big push right now is just do something with intention. Like
well,
I came in here with expectations of talking about music and AI and music and stuff, and like I'm having a healing conversation.
yeah.
And all I told myself was I want to sit down and talk.
Yeah. When I think of doing these things, I just get to hang with my buddy and chat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't ever look at it for like a purpose.
Yeah.
Other than because like whenever you and I sit down and talk, we have great
We
conversation.
just talk anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't we want to do more of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, I am going to end this, but I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And everyone at home, we'll see you all on the next one.